So what if as young people, we can come up with those innovations? What if as young people, we can take the lead? Because for me, let me tell you one thing. Yes, we normally say that young people, we are the leaders of tomorrow. But for me, I don't agree with that analogy. I say young people, we are the leaders of today. Simply because of this. Are you sure we'll be having tomorrow if we don't have today? So that's a food for thought. So it actually means it starts today and it starts now.
Hello and welcome once again to my channel, Say Something with Mads, where youth from across the globe are given an opportunity to speak about the topics which are close to their heart. And every week we bring across so many interesting personalities, and I look forward to having a long tete-a-tete with them. Our conversations are not only interesting but very meaningful. So today we have Lamech, who is joining from Kenya, and he is an environmentalist. We will talk about his journey. Let's welcome him. Welcome, Lamech. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm doing fine, and I'm very glad to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, and you're looking extremely colorful and energetic. Go for it. I love your dress. I love your shirt.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah,
for our audience, let us know who Lamech is. Start from your journey. Which school you went to? Then what is your education? Who are there in your family? And how did you start your activism? All this take us through your childhood and what you are doing now. And also, I must say, when I say you are from Kenya, we would like to ask you about your country as well. I recently visited Kenya, and for me, Kenya means Masai Mara. For most of us, it means that, right? Now, is the first section is over to you.
Thank you so much once again. So my name is Lamech Opio, as you mentioned. I'll share my journey, but basically I'm an environmental conservation champion based in Kenya. I'm an humanitarian, change maker, and also a youth leader. I do a couple of things, more so in change making space. And my journey, I am the last born in a family of three, two ladies and one gent. So I'm the only gent. I grew up in the western part of Kenya, in the village that is in Siaya County. So for us here in Kenya, we normally have like administrative regions whereby we have counties. The counties, there are so many, they make up now like the whole country. So I come from a county called Siaya, is in western part of Kenya. That's where I was born, where I was raised up, but I actually didn't live at the very one place. So I kept on moving. Though within Siaya, but I kept on moving from one relative to another, staying with them, grandmother and everything else. So it's a long journey about that. But I grew up in those parts of the country. Then I went to school. Yes, I think our educational system in Kenya here is that we used to have 8-4-4. So like you study for 8 years in primary school, then 4 years in high school, then 4 years in university. So I went through primary school in up country. Then when I finished my class 8, like now when I was supposed to transition to high school, I came to Nairobi to stay with my auntie, and I also look for a school that I can join within Nairobi. And I was fortunate enough to join high school because I'd actually passed in my KCPE. We normally call it Kenya Certificate for Primary Education. So it's like a qualification for you to go to the high school. You have to pass. So, yeah,
okay.
for you to go.
So if you don't pass that, you don't get to high school automatically. Okay, so you have
can, yes, no, like right now we are having government plan to have a transition, but initially it used to be there are specific marks or like qualifications for you to go to a certain school. Yes, you can go to any other school, but for you to get a better school, you have to score certain marks so that it gives you a good opportunity to actually join one of the best school. Yeah. So because I'd passed, and I think also if you compare the kind of education in up country, like in the village, as compared to maybe Nairobi, which is now a big city and the capital, it's quite different because of the struggles that people have in up country, trying to find like even school fees and everything else. But unfortunately enough, I was able to do that. And I passed and I came to Nairobi for the very first time to stay with my auntie, and I got admitted to high school. After getting admitted to high school, I again passed, and after 4 years, I was able to join university. My university is called Kenyatta University. It's one of the best universities in Kenya. I think it ranks, second after the University of Nairobi here in Kenya. And I pursued a course rather which was in line with my passion. I've always had passion for environment. I've always had passion to nature and conservation. So it automatically inspired me to pursue a course in environmental science. So I did environmental science, and also because I love and I have like what we call, I have passion for communities as well. So my course was on environmental science and community development. So it was like a two-in-one course whereby I was covering aspects of environmental conservation, environmental science, and also community development, because I really think that the two really matches together and they move together. So for me, it's environmentalism, climate action, everything else is my passion and also by profession as well now, because that's what I studied. But this passion has been transformed over time, because I think when I was joining campus, yes, I was very very deliberate and considerate of matters conservation and environment. I think as time went by and as I got to meet so many other people, young people doing several other good things out there, and also just seeing like young people who are on the move, it actually inspired me and catalyzed and rather I was able to grow within my passion. I was able now to get into the space, try to find what projects, what initiatives we can do with our fellow young people. And it's been a very, very good journey. But young people and even everyone else within his or her space have decided that, for me, I want to do something different. I want to make an impact. I want to be counted as someone who did a good thing. But generally, for me, also within the conservation space, I'm sure you've heard about the story of Wangari Maathai. Wangari Maathai was a Kenyan environmentalist and a Nobel Peace Prize winner here. Her story and whatever she did, it's a true testament and inspiration to most of us, also young environmentalists here in Kenya, because of the tremendous success that he was able to achieve, fighting for for human natural resources, fighting for human rights, and ensuring that we are able to preserve our environment, we're able to fight for our environment. And I think if you ask almost everyone, they still remember her story. Some of us didn't get to know her that much. She passed on maybe some few years ago when I think I wasn't still that old, but her story, from whatever she did, it's actually a testament that when we challenge ourselves to do things differently, we can actually make an impact. So her story inspires me a lot. And I'm not sure if you've heard about the story of the hummingbird. So maybe I can give a little bit of the story. So the hummingbird is like it's a story that actually inspires me most of the time, and I think each and every day it's an action story. So there's this very huge forest that is on fire. So within the forest, we have different types of animals. We have different types of we have different wildlife within the forest, that ecosystem. So you know what happens when fire starts. Everyone will be running out. The animals, you want to get somewhere safe for you to you want to get somewhere safe for you to find refuge so that you don't get burnt. So we have different types of animals here. We have the elephants. We have the king of the jungle. We have the lion. We have all different types of animals which are here. And imagine fire had started. So, as every animal is trying to run for safety and get somewhere safe, there is this very, very little hummingbird that decides to do something different. The fire is raging, then there's hummingbird here. So hummingbird decides to do something different. For me, for it decides that I won't run, but rather I can do something. So the hummingbird goes to the next stream, like a river, picks a drop of water as fast as it can and drops it into the fire. put out this fire. So the other animals are confused. What is the hummingbird doing? But the hummingbird is not, but the hummingbird keeps on doing it and saying, there's nothing that we can do. The story of the hummingbird actually teaches us that no matter how small, like having that drop of water, and it does it as fast as it can. So it drops, goes for another one, then other animals just wondering what's wrong with you. So that story actually inspires me the most because it challenges us, because most of the times I think we say that there are some things that are very complex, there are some things that are very overwhelming for us, and we render ourselves like we are helpless in such a situation, which actually is not the case. It just means that, yes, as much as it might be very overwhelming for us, but does it mean there is nothing like even so little like this that we can do in order to make a difference? So that story of the hummingbird inspires me most of the times and challenges me most of the time.
Lamech, I have to take you back a little bit and ask you, is it very common for young people to learn about environmental issues and take environmental science as a career option? Uh, I mean, young people would start looking at job first, like, okay, I have to secure a good job. So, how did you think that, okay, this is going to be my passion as well as my profession?
Thank you so much. So that's a good question. And I think, let me just start by saying this. We have different types of young people. Yes, and I think matters conservation and environment, sometimes it's termed unfashionable more so for young people. Most of the young people will want to go for like lavish things, like the things that are trending, the good things and the good life and all those weird faces. So it's common with most of the young
Sure.
people. And I think
Hmm.
for me, it was quite different because it was my passion. And yes, we have people who study environmental science, yeah, but not all of them are like with that passion. It's maybe because you finish your high school and your parents insisted that you must go to the university and you are selected to do maybe a course in environmental science. So you end up doing it, but maybe it wasn't your passion, which actually cuts across even other disciplines. So for me, it was different because for me, I purposefully said that this is what I want to do. This is what I want to enter more in. And I think through it, I'll be able to get something. Yes, there are opportunities. And I think the main problem that we have is unemployment also here in Kenya. But there are specific, like there are few opportunities within that field. And I think it actually depends on how and be able to do something that some people can be able to see whatever you are doing, it's making an impact and maybe tune in and wants to work with you on the same. Yes, there are opportunities and they're not so many, and it's not only in the environmental field, but I think also we also have young people who are just very passionate about this, even those who didn't study anything related to the environment, because we normally say, I don't have to be an environmentalist.
Lamek, tell me, what was the first activity you did, maybe as a child or in college, for environment? Maybe you were not thinking of something big. Small first step you took to do something.
Yes. So maybe I start. Yes, I did some in high school, but not that much. I want to start mostly in university when I went to my first year of studies. So there's this group of like people doing the same course, or rather doing the same program, and it was an environmental club within my institution. So here we have, like, we were invited. It's my first week in school. I'm very eager to learn. I'm very eager to meet people who are doing something, and so within the first week, I got an opportunity because I was quite aggressive and I really wanted to be lead by example. So I got opportunity to be in a leadership position within the environmental club in our school, and the very first thing, and I think we used to do very internal projects, because at the end of the day, charity begins at home. So charity begins at home in this way. Within our school, we normally used to have this program whereby we are giving back to the school. So whatever we used to organize several tree planting and growing activities within the school. And I think it escalated. It started at school, but now after you've done here, so you're starting to expand. Like, now let's go reach out somewhere, let's do something. So the very first thing about, and I'm very passionate about it, is tree planting and tree growing. So it's not only about planting, but rather growing. There's no need for me to go and plant 5,000 trees. I don't like do any follow-up. and I don't do anything else and brag that I've done justice to the environment. It's about growing. So after I plant, what is the sustainability plan for these trees, and who will be in charge of what, or how will we continue to make it a success so that it's not like a one-time event, to make it sustainable. And also we did lots of like cleanup activities just to ensure that we have sensitization, because I think everything starts with the information. The moment people are aware, people are sensitized, at least we know people are ignorant, but at least it's a step forward, because you can only act if you know the problem. You can only act if you have that information. So information is very important. And those are some of the things that we started off by doing. But as time went by, we found out like, yes, within the environment, there's a lot we can do. There's tree planting, but there are also other different aspects on which we can contribute to the just and having a very good environment for all of us. Yeah, so it started as those small, simple things within the school, and ensuring that we get students on board, administration on board, so that we start at home. Let's do tree plant. And actually, I can assure you that whatever we were able to do during that time have borne fruits. Whenever I enter my university, the first thing I see on the gate on the right side is the trees that we planted. And it actually inspires me, telling me that what if we didn't do it? How would have this place been? So it actually adds up, and I think it actually motivates me as well. Yeah.
Because I saw on your LinkedIn that now you are in schools making some beautiful vertical gardens with the tires, or no, you make a concrete structure and then plant trees in circles. It looks so beautiful. I saw it, of course.
As young as people, students in primary school, these are the future leaders. These are the future champions of our environment. So we normally have a project called Eco Schools. So basically, this involved working with schools, institutions of higher learning. So it can be primary school, secondary schools, and tertiary institutions. So the whole idea is to transform minds and inspire them into action. But at the end of the day, there's no need of me just coming and speaking to you, and we are not doing anything hands-on. So that's why we are doing hands-on projects: tree planting, tree growing, setting up tree nurseries, doing vertical gardens. So this is actually inspired by, because also, most of the times, we are trying also to figure out how we can make our project sustainable and also gain something from it.
Yeah.
So an MOU with the school, we are setting vertical gardens, and we're not, me like Lamech, I'm not doing it for them. No, we train and we do it together, such that even though we've done it in school, we have different pupils and they come from different places, different homes. What if they carry on that idea and apply it at home as well? You see, so it's a win-win. It's a sustainable one. And also within this, school can also be able to like get a small, we normally used to do it with school, and also at times we used to do it with children's homes, those people who depend on donations most of the times. What if you can produce your small food within your small backyard? Because the idea of vertical gardens is just more so in the urban setups. Sometimes you don't have a big garden or a big space for you to do all the farming. But this small space that you have, you can make optimum use of it. So one way is setting up vertical gardens, and these vertical gardens have a variety of foods. It can be vegetable, it can be onion, all other types of vegetables, which...
Wow, that's so simple to do. And so,
but you can also harvest.
Do you have a team working with you? How many people are there? And what is your organization? Like, what are you doing now? How many people are there in your team, and how do you work?
Thank you. So I've been privileged to lead lots of groups, more so youth groups, youth group organizations, cross-border members from different countries. So it covers Kenya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and South Sudan. And this specific group we had over, if I work with numbers, I think we had over 1,000, because you have different people from different places who are part of the movement, and we are doing projects together. So, but within Rotaract and Rotary, it's a big family, and I think it's found almost everywhere in the world. You always see about Rotary clubs, you always see about Rotaract clubs. So I have a team of so many people. And I think at the moment, because now I'm the membership chair, and I'm actually working within these 3-4 countries, so we still have, there are more than 1,000. We can always think from within, what can you contribute? What can I contribute? And together, what can we be able to do? What can we be able to do with whatever we have? Yes, so I have a very dynamic team.
Lamech, when was the year when you joined Rotary first time?
Not so long. It was when I was in first year, around 2018, because when I joined Rotaract, and I also happened to, when I joined, I was able to be in leadership positions, and I eventually became the president now of our club that is within Kenyatta University, and I think that's where we were now able to do the most out of it. So it's been around 4 or 5 years since I joined, and since I joined, at least for me as a person, I've grown personally, but also professionally, but also what actually inspired me to join Rotaract and Rotary was the urge for me to make a difference. And I think Rotaract and Rotary gave me that platform.
Lamech, when you were speaking about this, the previous question, we have somebody called in India who is a global leader actually called Sadhguru. So he has spoken about save soil a lot, right? Soil. So in Dubai, when we came, I was part of it. Of course, what we can do is we can champion it. We can talk about soil, increasing their nutrient value, and how we can do simple things. From your end, I would like to ask how important it is to know about the soil, how important it is that the soil is eroding and soil is no more having that kind of nutrient which is required, and it's very critical state all over the world that the soil layer is reducing day by day. So what would you say as an environmentalist about soil?
Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, I've heard of Sadhguru, and I think we've been following each other on social media platform, also on Twitter, and I really appreciate the work that he does championing for soil. And I think everything revolves around soil. I think so. Yeah. Most of the things revolve around soil. Let's say if you are talking about agriculture, if you're talking about settlements, if you're talking about people having a very safe space also to live, it revolves around soil. And I think the value that comes with soil can be, when we talk of tree planting, tree growing, and everything else, it won't just happen. We want to be planting trees on mountains or trees on rocks. It's all revolves around soil. So for me, as an environmentalist and also as a person who worked within this field of environment, soil is very, very important. And actually, it's an agent, like just as we're talking about climate change, and soil is there because most of the times we find that people have forgotten, like, we need to have agricultural activities, we need to have people settlements, we need to have like places where people can be able to find a safe space for them. So if you forget about soil, it's done for us. So the nutrients that comes with the soil, the different types of soils and how they're adapted to helping biodiversity and ecosystems thrive is very important. And these are the things that we really need to normalize, also sharing with our community members, normalize sharing with the people who are depending on this soil. Because without soil, actually there's not so much that we can be able to do.
I saw recently that you have been to Germany, and what was it that you were doing there, and what did you learn from that?
Thank you so much. So because of the work I do in the conservation space, and because of the work also I do in climate change action projects and advocacy, I got an opportunity to be selected in an exchange program. It's a youth exchange program. So we had Germans and so we were 7 people from Kenya and 7 Germans. So we had an exchange program more so focused on ESD. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. So it revolves around sustainable development goals as well. Yes. And so we were selected there, and because we've been into this work, we've been doing our little big thing within that space. So it was more of sharing this experience and also seeing what we can do differently, learning from how those people from Germany, how do they do it there, how we do it here in Kenya. What that ideas can we be able to borrow?
So which year was this, and how much time you stayed there, and which year?
I stayed for almost 1 month because there are other several topics you are covering and also related to sustainable development goals, and also just getting that intercultural exchange, like how things are done differently. But basically, it was a change maker youth exchange program because I got the opportunity because of the work I do. So more sustainable development and more of how young people can be able to advance our work, whatever we do, how we can scale it up, how we can have different perspectives, different approaches to solving some of the most the most pressing problems that we're having at the moment. And it was a very, very fantastic moment for me because I've never been to EU before. It was my first time in Germany, and I also had that dream to one day visit Germany. So it was a dream come true for me.
Lamech, tell me one thing. You work with youth. You work a lot. You have an experience. What is that one critical aspect which youth, young people all across the globe should look at now? One important topic which you think is the most important, like people should be working on this.
I don't want to be biased. Yes, we have several challenges, several things that are ongoing at the moment. But for now, I think climate change, like for me, I can attest to that because I've seen the impacts happening in my country. I'm not sure about others, but I think it's a very global challenge that most of the countries are facing. So what if as young people, we can come up with those innovations? What if as young people, we can take the lead? Because for me, let me tell you one thing. Yes, we normally say that young people, we are the leaders of tomorrow. But for me, I don't agree with that analogy. I say young people, we are the leaders of today. Simply because of this. Are you sure we'll be having tomorrow if we don't have today? So that's a food for thought. So it actually means it starts today and it starts now. So the moment as young people, yes, we have lots of things ongoing, but the moment you're able to have the energy, for us young people, we have the energy, we have the time as much, then we have that we are still young and we're able to have several things in mind. What if we channel this?
So, Lamech, we were having a very, very interesting conversation, and I think I understood your passion and the way you're working, and you're so young and we are still working. Where do you see yourself in next few years? Is there some goal you have set up, or you want to be somewhere? Do you want to work within Nairobi, or you want to go somewhere else in the world and learn something properly? Or I mean, do see some other part of the world. What is your wish and aim for next few years?
Double my impact on the space. But the personal goal I have, yes, since I just finished my university in Kenya and I graduated late last year, so I'm looking forward to maybe doing my master's outside the country, even abroad, just also to try get the different perspective. But the thing is, I don't want to run away from my country.
Yes,
I go study, I do everything, but I come back to my country and build my people.
Yes.
Because that's the main, maybe if I'm employment, if I can national organization, yes, I'll have all those trips we are doing, but at the end of the day, I'm having an impact within my society. The international jobs that I'll be able, yes, as long as I'll be able to be getting the experience and the exposure, but I'm also able to have other projects within my country and develop my country and to further the projects we are doing, not only in Kenya, but also in different parts of the country, so that we can be able to reach out to as many people as possible, so that we're also able to put Africa in the world map. Like we've always been known that we're having all these abundance resources, we're having all this, but how comes we are still like very struggling? So it's always challenges me in my wild thoughts where we go from what can we do differently so that we can also, I have that vision that we can also get.
So I think, Lamech, we had a very, very fantastic conversation, and I'm sure my audience is going to listen and going to really look who you are, what you are doing through your LinkedIn profile. I have learned a lot through that, and keep posting, keep inspiring people. And we want more people like you on this planet and inspiring the youth, especially the line which you said, youth are not the leaders of tomorrow, they are leaders of today. And as I say, before ending every week, that we have only one earth. Let's do something small for it to be sustainable from our end. Like Lamech is doing a big work, like he's doing with the youth. Let's start from our home and do a small bit. Maybe by not wasting your food. That's very important. Think about it. Let's meet again next week. See you then. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much.